There comes a moment in every human life when the universe steps back, watches you face the storm, and then declares, "You have passed." This is not an ordinary moment, it is a spiritual milestone, a cosmic victory, a silent announcement that your soul has crossed its hardest battlefield and emerged unbroken. You did not just survive the pain, you transcended it. You rose above the doubt, the fear, the inner turmoil that once tried to shatter you. And in that rising, something magnificent awakened within you, a new power, a new clarity, a new identity rooted in the limitless intelligence of your subconscious mind. Yes, the test was fierce. It stretched your emotions, it shook your foundations, it forced you to confront parts of yourself you never knew existed. But that very test carved a deeper strength into your being. It unlocked spiritual muscles you didn't know you had. It brought you face to face with the truth that you are far more resilient, far more luminous, and far more divinely guided than you ever imagined. And now, the universe is sending you signals, unmistakable, undeniable signs that you have crossed that sacred threshold. Signs that your soul has graduated from its greatest pain and stepped into a higher dimension of wisdom, peace, and inner power. Tonight, we are not here to talk about struggle. We are here to celebrate transformation. We are here to recognize the 7 powerful signs that prove you have passed your soul's most painful test and that a new chapter of your life has already begun. When you no longer react to old triggers the way you once did, it is one of the clearest signs that your soul has moved beyond its deepest pain. A trigger is not just an emotional reaction, it is a memory stored in the subconscious mind, a pattern formed through repeated experiences of disappointment, fear, or hurt. For years, these triggers might have dictated your responses, controlled your feelings, and shaped your decisions. They could turn a simple comment into a wound, a small delay into a crisis, or a misunderstanding into emotional chaos. But something profound begins to happen when your inner transformation is complete. The old triggers lose their power over you. You start noticing that the same situations that once made your heart race or your mind spiral now leave you surprisingly calm. You see things as they are, not as your pain interprets them. This shift does not happen overnight. It is the result of inner work, reflection, and soul-level growth. At one time, a harsh tone might have reminded you of someone who once belittled you, or a moment of silence might have made you fear abandonment, or criticism might have pierced straight into your self-worth. But when you pass your most painful spiritual test, it means that your subconscious has relearned the truth. You are safe, you are enough, and you are no longer who you were when those wounds were created. Every time you heal a layer of yourself, the emotional charge of that memory dissolves. And eventually, a day arrives when the trigger appears, but the pain does not. You feel the difference instantly. You watch yourself pause rather than react. You breathe where you once would have defended. You understand instead of spiraling. That pause is a powerful sign. That calm is proof of evolution. This change is not weakness, nor is it numbness. It is the emergence of emotional mastery. It means you no longer surrender your peace to external situations. You are operating from a higher state of consciousness where your responses come from wisdom, not wounds. People may still behave the same way. Life may still bring unexpected challenges. But you face them from a place of inner stability instead of fear or insecurity. It is as if the emotional storms that once raged within you finally learn to quiet themselves. You become an observer of your inner world instead of a prisoner of it. You acknowledge feelings without being overwhelmed by them. You hear old echoes without letting them define your present. And perhaps the most powerful part of this transformation is the self-respect that comes with it. You begin to honor your emotions, your boundaries, your truth. You no longer allow someone else's energy to dictate your own. You respond to life instead of reacting to it. You choose peace Instead of proving a point, you choose clarity over chaos. You choose growth over repeating the same cycles. The moment you notice that old triggers no longer control you, you realize how far you have come. You understand that pain did not break you, it shaped you. It refined you. It elevated your consciousness in ways nothing else could. Passing your soul's most painful test means you have reclaimed your internal power. The world around you might look the same, but times are not the same. Your reactions tell the story of your evolution. Your calm reveals the strength you have built, and your ability to stay centered in situations that once shook you is proof that your soul has crossed a threshold that cannot be undone. You have stepped into a new version of yourself, one that responds with wisdom, holds peace with confidence, and sees life through eyes no longer clouded by old wounds. This inner shift is not just growth, it is liberation. This is the first sign that your soul has truly moved beyond its greatest pain. Feeling a deep inner calm, even in uncertain situations, is one of the most profound signs that your soul has moved beyond its most painful test. This calm is not forced, nor is it the result of ignoring reality. It is a natural, effortless state that rises from within, a quiet confidence that replaces fear, anxiety, and the old habit of expecting the worst. When you have truly healed at a soul level, uncertainty no longer threatens you. It no longer feels like a danger or a punishment. Instead, it becomes a space where you trust that something meaningful is unfolding, even if you cannot see it yet. This kind of calm cannot be faked. It comes from a deep shift in your subconscious mind, an understanding that life has never been against you, even in the moments when everything felt like it was falling apart. After your most painful test, you begin to see that the challenges you faced were not meant to destroy you but to prepare you. You start believing that every moment of confusion, every unexpected turn, every delay, and every closed door carried a higher intelligence behind it. And because you now trust this truth, uncertainty no longer provokes panic. The fear that once lived in your body dissolves. The worry that once lived in your mind loses its power. You breathe differently. You think differently. You feel differently. Your calm becomes a signal of alignment. It tells you that you no longer rely on external circumstances for internal peace. You are no longer waiting for life to settle down so you can feel safe. Instead, the safety is coming from within you. You have developed an inner foundation so strong that even when you don't know what comes next, you feel grounded, you feel guided. You feel held by something greater than your logical mind can explain. And this calm is not passive, it is active, aware, and conscious. It allows you to make clearer decisions, speak with more confidence, and walk through life without the emotional turbulence that once consumed you. Before your transformation, uncertainty may have felt unbearable. You may have rushed to control outcomes, forced answers, or tried desperately to avoid the unknown. But now, your relationship with uncertainty has changed. You have learned to let go of the need for immediate clarity. You understand that not knowing is sometimes the path to deeper knowing. You recognize that life reveals things in perfect timing, not in your timing. And instead of resisting the unknown, you allow it, you trust it. You even welcome it, because your past pain taught you that every struggle eventually leads to understanding, and every pause eventually leads to progress. This calm also shows up in the way you handle challenges. When something unexpected happens, you no longer fall apart. You no longer assume everything is going wrong. You take a breath, you center yourself. You respond with intention instead of reacting from fear. You don't spiral into worst-case scenarios because your soul knows you can handle whatever arises. You have already faced the fire. You have already survived your hardest moments. Nothing life presents can intimidate you the way it once did. And perhaps one of the most beautiful parts of this calm is how it influences the energy around you. People begin to sense your stability. They feel safe around you. They come to you for guidance without knowing why. Your presence becomes soothing, your words become grounding, and your energy becomes a quiet anchor in the chaos. This is the calm that comes from passing a soul-level test, an inner peace that radiates outward. When you feel this kind of calm in moments where you once felt fear, it is your soul's way of saying, "You have grown, you have healed, you are ready for the next chapter." It is not the absence of uncertainty, but your new response to it that proves you have passed your most painful test. Your peace is your power now, and nothing external can take it away. Releasing what once hurt you without bitterness or attachment is one of the clearest and most liberating signs that your soul has evolved beyond its deepest wound. At one time, the very thought of certain people, situations, or memories might have stirred heavy emotions within you: anger, sadness, resentment, confusion, or a deep ache you couldn't fully express. These emotions were not weaknesses, they were echoes of experiences that shaped your inner landscape. They reflected unprocessed pain, unmet expectations, or unanswered questions. But when you cross your soul's most painful test, something extraordinary happens. Those same memories begin to lose their emotional weight. You still remember what happened, but it no longer controls you. You are aware of the past, yet untouched by it. The story remains, but the suffering ends. This kind of release is not forgetting. It is not pretending that the experience did not affect you. It is not pushing emotions into the shadows of your subconscious. Instead, it is a conscious shift born from understanding, acceptance, and spiritual maturity. You stop replaying the events in your mind. You stop trying to rewrite the past. You stop needing explanations from people who could not give you what you deserved at that time. The attachment dissolves because you finally see the truth. Holding on to the pain keeps your soul bound, while releasing it sets you free. You begin to value your own peace more than your need to be right, recognized, or validated. Bitterness naturally fades because you recognize that every experience, even the painful ones, contributed to your growth. You start seeing the situation through a higher lens. You realize that the people who hurt you were acting from their own wounds, limitations, or lack of awareness. This realization does not excuse their behavior, but it frees you from internalizing it. You understand that their actions reflected their inner world, not your worth. And with that clarity, the resentment loses its grip. You no longer carry the emotional poison that once consumed your thoughts. You stop revisiting old stories seeking justice because your healing has already given you the justice you needed. You also begin to release the attachment to how things should times have been. That is often the hardest part. Many soul wounds persist not because of what happened, but because of what we hoped would happen. When you pass your deepest spiritual test, you let go of old expectations. You stop wishing you could change the past. You stop holding on to the version of people you wanted them to be. Acceptance becomes your source of freedom. You see that the situation unfolded exactly as it needed to for your evolution. The lesson was painful, but necessary. The ending was disappointing, but important. The experience broke you open so that something wiser could emerge. This release also shows up in your behavior. You no longer feel the need to confront the past or prove anything to anyone. You no longer re-enter old cycles hoping for closure. Your energy withdraws from people or places that once triggered you, not out of avoidance, but out of completion. You have outgrown the emotional patterns that tied you to those memories. And without those emotional threads, the past loses its ability to hurt you. The most powerful sign is the lightness that settles into your heart. You feel spacious inside. You feel unburdened. When your soul releases what once wounded it, your intuition sharpens, your perspective expands, and your emotional world becomes clearer. You begin attracting peace because you have become peace. You begin receiving better because you have let go of what blocked your blessings. You finally understand that healing is not about changing the past, but about reclaiming your present. When you can think of what once hurt you and feel neutrality instead of pain, compassion instead of resentment, understanding instead of attachment, your soul is telling you loud and clear. Asterisk, you have passed the test. You are free. Asterisk, trusting divine timing and no longer forcing outcomes is a powerful indicator that you have moved beyond your soul's deepest pain. In the past, you may have lived with a constant urgency, a need to control, predict, or push life into the shape you wanted. This urgency came from fear of losing, fear of being abandoned, fear of repeating past mistakes, fear that if you didn't make things happen, nothing good would ever come. You may have tried to hold on to people who were already slipping away, forced opportunities that weren't aligned, or rushed into decisions simply to avoid uncertainty. But when your soul completes its most painful test, something changes at the core of your being. You no longer feel compelled to chase what is not meant for you. You no longer cling to timelines that exhaust you. You begin to trust the natural unfolding of life with a faith that feels both grounding and liberating. This shift is not passive or careless. It is a deep inner knowing that what is meant for you cannot be taken from you, delayed beyond its season, or destroyed by temporary detours. You begin to see that the universe has a rhythm, a sequence, an intelligence far greater than the anxious plans your mind once created. You stop forcing doors to open because you have learned, through pain, that the doors which refuse to open are the ones protecting you from pathways not meant for your soul. Every disappointment, every delay, every ending that once felt like a punishment now makes sense. You recognize that divine timing isn't about waiting endlessly. It is about aligning your energy with the right moment, the right opportunity, the right person, the right chapter. When you trust divine timing, you also release the need to compare yourself with others. You no longer feel behind when someone else succeeds. You no longer panic when someone else appears to be ahead. Instead, you understand that every soul has its own schedule, its own lessons, its own destiny. What someone else receives has nothing to do with what you will receive. Your journey is unfolding exactly as it needs to, in exactly the right sequence. This understanding brings a peace that the old you did not have. It quiets the ego, softens expectations, and dissolves the pressure to outrun life. Trusting divine timing also changes the way you approach opportunities. Instead of grasping at every possibility out of fear, you become more selective, more aware, more intuitive. You listen for guidance. You wait for clarity. You follow the inner pull rather than external pressure. You know the difference between forcing something and flowing with something. You know the difference between impatience and intuition. You know the difference between fear-driven action and soul-led action. And because you know this difference, you move through life with a calm confidence that everything is working for you, even when you cannot see how. There is also a beauty in how you handle delays now. What once frustrated you becomes a moment to reflect, center, or redirect. You no longer interpret delays as rejection, but as redirection. You no longer see slow progress as failure, but as preparation. You begin to witness how life pieces things together behind the scenes, opportunities aligning, lessons maturing, people evolving, paths clearing. You trust that what is meant for you is already making its way to you in perfect timing. This trust doesn't mean you stop working or stop dreaming. Instead, it means you work with the universe, not against it. You take inspired action instead of panicked action. You plant seeds without digging them up every day to see whether they have sprouted. You allow life the space to respond to your intentions. You make room for miracles rather than clinging to limitations. When you finally reach this place, you can feel that you have passed a spiritual threshold. The anxiety that once controlled you fades. The impatience that once consumed you weakens. The fear that once shaped your decisions dissolves. You live with an inner assurance that everything is unfolding as it should. You no longer rush, you no longer chase, you no longer grasp. You trust. And that trust is the unmistakable sign that your soul has healed from its deepest pain. Attracting healthier people, opportunities, and environments is one of the most undeniable signs that you've risen above your soul's most painful test. When you were still carrying unhealed wounds, those wounds quietly shaped the kind of energy you allowed into your life. You might have found yourself surrounded by people who drained you, took advantage of your kindness, or mirrored your unresolved pain. You may have accepted opportunities that didn't honor your worth, stayed in environments that kept you small, or tolerated treatment that your healed self would never accept. Without realizing it, your inner world was influencing everything around you. But healing changes the frequency of your life. Once you have passed a soul-deep test, what you attract begins to transform in remarkable ways. This shift happens because your energy shifts. You start valuing peace more than chaos, clarity more than confusion, genuine connection more than superficial validation. The inner battles that once clouded your judgment begin to fade, and you start noticing the difference between what nourishes you and what drains you. You begin to feel when someone's presence aligns with your spirit, and when it doesn't. Instead of forcing relationships or clinging to people out of fear, you gravitate toward those who respect your boundaries, honor your truth, and bring out your best self. Healthier people come into your life because you have become healthier within. The same transformation happens with opportunities. You no longer chase jobs, relationships, or experiences that offer temporary satisfaction but long-term stress. You start attracting opportunities that align with your values, your passions, and your growth. Doors open more naturally because you are no longer operating from desperation or insecurity. You act from confidence, authenticity, and purpose, and those qualities draw in better paths. You find yourself saying yes to what feels right for your soul and easily walking away from what disturbs your peace. What once felt like luck now feels like alignment. Environments also shift as you heal. Spaces that were once comfortable may now feel heavy because your energy has evolved beyond them. You naturally choose environments that support your well-being, places with harmony instead of conflict, growth instead of stagnation, inspiration instead of limitation. You surround yourself with people who speak life into you, rather than those who feed your doubts. You are drawn to environments where your spirit can breathe, expand, and flourish. Most importantly, this shift is not forced. It happens naturally because your soul is no longer vibrating at the frequency of fear, scarcity, or past trauma. You've released what once burdened you, and in doing so, you made space for what is meant to bless you. Healthier people recognize your healed energy. Better opportunities gravitate toward your new mindset. Environments that nurture you become the ones you choose without hesitation. When the world around you begins to reflect your inner healing, when your circle becomes more peaceful, your opportunities more aligned, and your environments more supportive, it is the universe confirming that you have passed your soul's most painful test. You are no longer attracting from woundedness, you are attracting from wholeness. Sensing a clearer purpose, guiding your decisions and direction, is a profound sign that you have emerged from your soul's most painful test. When you were in the midst of your struggle, everything may have felt confusing. You might have questioned your path, doubted your choices, and felt lost in a fog of emotional turmoil. Pain has a way of blurring vision. It narrows your focus to survival. It makes you cling to what feels familiar, even when it is hurting you. But once you rise through that pain, once you truly learn the lesson that life was trying to teach you, something extraordinary begins to happen inside you. The fog lifts, the noise quiets, a deeper clarity begins to speak. This clarity is not loud or dramatic. It comes as a gentle knowing, a subtle inner pull that guides you without pressure. You start understanding yourself in ways you never did before. You become aware of what your soul is here to experience, what kind of energy you want around you, and what kind of life aligns with who you truly are. Decisions that once felt overwhelming start to feel straightforward, not because you have everything figured out, but because you finally trust the direction your intuition is pointing you toward. You no longer move based on fear or external expectations. You move based on inner truth. A big part of this clarity comes from what you've released. When you let go of people, beliefs, and patterns that once weighed you down, space opens within you. In that space, purpose begins to grow. You begin to notice what lights you up, what drains you, what inspires you, and what no longer belongs in your life. Your soul starts steering you away from what is misaligned, even if it is familiar, and toward what resonates, even if it is new. This inner compass becomes stronger with each step you take. You stop second-guessing yourself because you can feel the difference between a path that expands you and one that diminishes you. Your purpose does not always appear as a grand mission. Sometimes it shows up quietly. It shows up in the way you communicate, the way you help others, the way you express yourself, the way you create, the way you choose peace over chaos. It can be found in your growing desire to live authentically, to protect your energy, to honor your boundaries, and to build a life that reflects your inner transformation. Everything you do begins to feel intentional. You no longer waste time where your spirit feels ignored. You no longer betray yourself to keep the peace. Your decisions start to reflect who you have become, not who you used to be. This clarity also brings a sense of direction you didn't have before. Even if you don't know every step ahead, you feel guided. You trust that each choice is leading you somewhere meaningful. You feel connected to something bigger than yourself, a divine flow, a higher wisdom, a purposeful rhythm that aligns your actions with your destiny. And in moments of doubt, instead of collapsing into confusion, you pause, breathe, and listen. You know the answer will come. When your choices start to align with your values, when your path feels intentional rather than chaotic, when you feel guided instead of lost, that is your soul saying, asterisk, you have passed the test. Asterisk, you can finally hear your purpose because the pain that once drowned it out has dissolved. As we come to the close of this journey together, let us take a moment to honor how far you have come. Every struggle, every tear, every moment of doubt and despair was not wasted. It was the sacred training ground for your soul. Passing your most painful test does not mean life becomes effortless, but it does mean you emerge stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your true self. The signs are unmistakable. You no longer react to old triggers. You carry a deep inner calm, even in uncertainty. You release what once hurt you without bitterness. You trust divine timing instead of forcing outcomes. You attract healthier people and opportunities, and you sense a clearer purpose guiding your every decision. Each of these signs is proof that the pain you endured was never meant to break you, but to awaken you. Now, as you move forward, carry this knowledge within you. Let it be the lens through which you view every challenge and every blessing. Trust yourself. Trust the universe. Trust the divine wisdom that orchestrates the timing of your life. You are no longer a prisoner of your past. You are a master of your present and a creator of your future. Remember, the soul grows not in comfort, but in overcoming. And having faced your deepest trials, you have proven that nothing can dim the light within you. Step boldly into the next chapter of your life with confidence, gratitude, and faith. The world will respond to the strength, clarity, and peace you now carry. You have passed the test, and in doing so, you have stepped fully into the life you were always meant to live. Your journey is now a testament to resilience, to wisdom, and to the infinite power that resides within you. Carry these 7 signs as your guide, your reassurance, and your proof that your soul's most challenging moments were the very doorway to your awakening. The pain is behind you, and the light of your higher self is fully shining forward. This is your victory, your freedom, and your divine inheritance.